Bhakti Gosvāmī Mahārāja Śrīla Gurudeva ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutarashitashmar Śrīla Bhakti Vaman Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutarashitashmar Śrīla Bhakti Swāmī Mahārāja Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutarashitashmar Śrīla Bhakti Vijñāna Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutarashitashmar Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvatī Prabhupada ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Śrīla Gaura-s Babaji Mahārāja ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Śrīla Raghunandana Babaji Mahārāja ki jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Patadash Raghunath Shara Gosvāmī Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaura-parṣada Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय. सर्व अभिष्ट विरत गिरिराज महाराज की जय. श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय. श्री मुन देवी गंगा देवी की जय. श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय. श्री भक्ति देवी की जय. श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जय. श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय. She, what is this? So many days today. So she Vasanta Pañcamī ki jai, Vasanti Rasa ki jai. She Gaura-Shakti Vishnu upriya-devi ki jai, Tatiya Shubha Abhirbhav Tithi ki jai. Śrīla Raghunath Das Gosvāmī ki jai, Tatiya Shubha Abhirbhav Tithi ki jai. Śrīla Raghunandana T ki jai, Pundarik Vidya nidhi ki jai, Tatiya Shubha Abhirbhav Tithi ki jai. Śrīla Vishwanath Cakravartī Thakur ki jai, Tatiya Shubha Tithi ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Shishimad Bhakti Viveka Bharati Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai, Tatiya Shubha Tithi ki jai. Shri Sarasvatī Pu ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Dandavat pranams Pradyumna Prabhu and Mantra Murti Mataji, Rup Manjari Didi, and Sucharu Prabhu, Jai Gurudeva, Haribo Gargaraj Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, and Ganga Didi, and Indira Mataji. All right, so many things to read today. I actually was just a few minutes before I started reading, I was going over the second part of the documentary by my Śrīla Gurudeva. We're supposed to post it before 6:50 a.m. this morning, but we found some problems with it and there's a whole panic, and that's why I'm a few minutes late. Thankfully, Rup Manjari Didi very kindly helped me by preparing different things from her Guru Maharaj, Gurudeva, Śrīla Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Gosvāmī Maharaj, from his book Gaura-parṣada Caritāvalī. I forgot what the English title is for that book, but I have that all ready to read today. And there are also some classes on purebhakti.com. And there's a class by Śrīla Bhakti Viveka Bha where he goes through all the Tithis in brief. And so I'm not so, we'll just go around. I don't have an order, or I don't know how much to read for my Gurudeva, and like that. It's a lot to read today, so let's just see how it goes. Yeah, unfortunately though, I don't have it all lined up. One second. All right, just sharing my screen. So, what order should we do this in? One second, let me just look at this. This is a calendar. Vasanta Pañcamī. Okay, so should we do it in this order? Like, I guess we'll start off with Vishnupriya Devi, and then Raghunatha Gosvāmī, and then Raghunandana T. I guess we'll just do it in that order, huh? That's how it was in the calendar. And I guess it's also going from Mahaprabhu's associates to then after that. Then there's Vishnu. Okay, so let's start with Vishnupriya Devi. I started trying to do a word count for everything, and I only did like a part of it, and it already got to 7,000 words. So today might be a bit of a long reading, but if anybody needs to leave, feel free to leave at any time. Okay. So Srimati Vishnupriya Devi by Śrīla Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Gosvāmī Mahārāja. On the holy occasion of the appearance day of Sri Vishnupriya Devi, the following is an excerpt from the book Sri Chaitanya, His Life and Associates. Okay, by Śrīla Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Shri Sanatana Mishra Yar Pura Satra Jito Napa Vishnupriya Jaganmata Yat Kanya Bhusarupini. I'm guessing it says ni. Wonder if, sorry, one second. Raseshwari Mataji isn't here. Maybe she'll come later though. Okay. He who was King Satrajit in Krishna Lila was Sanatan Mishra in Chaitanya Lila. The mother of the universe, the incarnation of the Lord's Bhu Shakti, is his daughter, Vishnupriya. That's from Gaura-parṣada Caritāvalī, verse 37. Krishna married Satyabhama, the daughter of King Satrajit, and a Yadu princess. Sorry, I read that wrong, but you get it. In Gaur Lila, this same Satrajit became Sanatan Mishra, and she became Vishnupriya Devi. Interesting, Satyabhama. All manifestations of Sri Vishnu Tattva have three energies, known as Shri, Bhu, and Nila, or Lila also. Lakshmi Priya Devi is the Shri Shakti of Mahaprabhu in his majestic Gaur Narayan attitude. Vishnu Priya is his Bhu Shakti, and Navadip Dham is his Lila Shakti. Srila Gadadhar Pandit Goswami is the Shakti of Gaur Krishna, or Mahaprabhu in the mood of Krishna. Knowledge is of two kinds, apara Vidya, or material knowledge, and para Vidya, or transcendental knowledge. Vishnupriya Devi is the personification of transcendental knowledge. Devotees worship her on her appearance day on the Shukla Pañcamī in the month of Magh, which is today. On the same day, those materialistic persons who are seeking the perfection of knowledge of this world worship the goddess of learning. Vishnupriya Devi's grandfather was Durga Das Mishra. Some people believe that Durga Das was Vishnupriya's father, and the Premvilas, the family of Durga Das Mishra's descendants through Yadavacharya, is known as Vishnupriya's Parivar. Mahaprabhu's marriage to Vishnu Devi. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur describes the birth of Gaur Narayan's Shakti Vishnupriya Devi in his Chaitanya Bhagavat. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has also mentioned the event in his Chaitanya Charitamrita. In the Adi Kanda, the death of Mahaprabhu's first wife is described. The passing, death isn't the right word. And then in his second marriage to the daughter of the court Pandit. Oh, and this book is now, what's his name? His name was Prahlad Prabhu before. I forgot what his sannyas name. He recently took sannyas, but he's been working on a long time to update this book and, do a check on the Bengali and the translation. And so, anyways. like, I'm sure Srila Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Goswami Maharaj wouldn't use the word death here, but it's this is a translation of his work, and it's being updated. Okay, so then he was married to Vishnupriya Thakurani, after which he defeated the Digvijay Pandit. It's from Chaitanya Charitamrita 1:16-25. For the materialistic person, the marriage of a man and woman is a source of bondage. When the Lord marries an imitation of ordinary mortals, it becomes something quite different. It is a transcendental affair. When the Lord marries in imitation of ordinary mortals, it becomes something quite different. It is a transcendental affair. So externally it looks like it's something like an ordinary person would do, but it actually is transcendental. Okay, sorry. I was like, huh? Okay, sorry. By chanting and hearing about the union of the Supreme Lord with his divine energy, one is liberated from the material energy. Whoever hears about the holy pastime of the Lord's marriage will be liberated from his bondage to this world. Lakshmi sat beside the Lord, and the house of Sachi was filled with light. Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi, chapter 10, 1, verses 1-10. Whoever saw the Lord's effulgent form on that day was freed from his or her sins and went to Vaikuntha. This is why the Lord is known as the merciful Lord of the fallen. That's also Chaitanya Bhagavat. Mahaprabhu spent an inordinate time absorbed in teaching his students on a trip to eastern Bengal, and Lakshmi Priya Devi found it impossible to support his absence. So, meditating on his lotus feet, she departed from this world. When Mahaprabhu finally arrived back in Navadvip, he consoled his mother, who was deeply affected by the loss of her daughter-in-law. Sachimata then started looking for another wife for her son, and consulted Kashinath Pandit for that purpose. Kashinath was a well-known matchmaker who is described in Gaura Ganodash Dipika, verse 50, as having been the Brahman in Krishna Lila named Kulaka, who was sent by Satyajit to arrange the marriage between his daughter Satyabhama and Krishna. He then went to the court Pandit Sanatan Mishra to arrange the marriage between Mahaprabhu and his daughter, the devotionally minded Vishnupriya. Kashinath said the following to Sanatan Mishra: Give your daughter to Vishwambar Pandit. It is a perfect combination. She alone is worthy of such a divine husband, while he deserves such a pious and chaste wife. Just as Krishna and Rukmini were worthy of each other, so are Vishnupriya and Nimai Pandit. From Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi Lila, chapter 15. From her early childhood, Vishnupriya Devi was always devoted to her parents and to Vishnu, taking her bath in the Ganges 3 times daily. She regularly saw Mother Sachi there, paying obeisances and being blessed by her. In this way, Sachi Devi already knew Vishnupriya's good qualities, and so was happy to agree to accept her as a wife for her. Buddhimata Khan was a rich and wise friend of Nimai's family, who volunteered to bear the entire expense of his marriage. Once it had been decided that Vishnupriya and Vishwambar would be married, an auspicious day and moment were fixed for the ceremony. With great pomp, the Adivas rituals were carried out on the eve of the marriage. The Lord arrived at Sanatan Mishra's house in a palanquin at dusk, and Gaur and Vishnupriya's wedding ceremony was performed according to both scriptural and popular traditions. On the following day, Vishnupriya joined her new husband on the palanquin and returned with him to his house. If one hears the eternal pastime of the wedding of Lakshmi and Narayan, then he loses his desire for the material relationship of enjoyer and enjoyed, for one comes to understand that Narayan alone is the supreme enjoyer of the entire universe. Buddhimanta Khan was fulfilled by receiving Mahaprabhu's embrace and mercy. Vrindavan Das Thakur has further written the following about the wedding. Some people of the pious women said, "They remind me of Gauri and Shiva." Others said, "It seems that they are Lakshmi and Narayan." Yet others say, "No, they rather resemble Ratī and Kamadev." Some compare them to Indra and Sachi, and others to Rama and Sita. So Chaitanya Bhagavat, same chapter. Vishnu Priya after Nimai Sannyas. When Mahaprabhu left home to go to Katwa and take sannyas, he was only 24 years old. Lochan Das Thakur has described Vishnu Priya's terrible feelings of separation in the days that followed his departure in the Chaitanya Mangala. Splits from the sound of Vishnu Priya's crying. The birds and beasts, even the trees and stones, shed tears when they heard it. Falling to the ground, she would lament, crying out, "Why does my sinful life not end?" In separation, her breath was like fire, drying her lips and her In separation, her breath was like fire, drying her lips, and her body trembled constantly. Advaita Prakash also describes how Vishnu Priya lived her life in terrible separation from the Lord after his departure. Every morning, she would go for her bath in the Ganges with Mother Sachi, after which she spent the entire day inside the house, never allowing the moon or sun to see her form. Not even the devotees were allowed to see anything more than her feet, nor would anyone ever hear her voice. Constantly shedding tears and eating only Mother Sachi's remnants, she became pale and thin. She took intense delight in the holy name, chanting all day long in solitude before a portrait of Gauranga, serving it as though he were present in it, and surrendering herself to his lotus feet. In this way, she demonstrated the ideal character of a devoted wife, as well as the forbearance spoken of by the Lord in his verse, Trinadapi sunichena toror iva suhishuna, etc. Srinivasacharya received Vishnupriya Devi's blessing. He personally witnessed her devotion to Mahaprabhu in separation. Narahari Chakravartī has described this in his Bhakti Ratnakar. Every day, Srinivas would come to see her. He observed her daily activities, which are beyond description. She had completely renounced sleep, and if she ever closed her eyes, it would hang on the bare ground. Her bodily luster, which had formerly glowed more brilliantly than gold, had become dull, and she was as thin as the waning moon on its 14th day. She set aside grains of rice to count the holy names she chanted, and would cook only this rice and offer it to her Lord. Of this amount, she would only eat a small portion. No one understood how she could remain alive. Some Bhakti Ratnakar. Janava Devi's disciple Nityananda Das has also described the standard of Vishnupriya Devi set for bhajan in his Prem Vilas. Listen, brothers, to the way which Ishvari Vishnupriya would take the names of the Lord. By listening to this, you will get a feeling for the Leela. Every day she would place 2 clay pots on either side of her, one filled with uncooked rice and the other empty. Each time she completed one mantra of 16 names and 32 syllables, she would joyfully place a grain of rice into the empty container. She would chant in this way until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then would take whatever rice had accumulated and cook it. This is the only food that she prepared, drenching it with her tears before she offered it to the Lord. It is not possible to estimate how many names Mahaprabhu himself chanted, but he chanted all day and night. Similarly, his beloved wife Vishnupriya chanted incessantly through the day and the night. Such dedication to the holy name was not impossible for her, for the Lord had planted the seed of his power in her. It is said that Vishnupriya Devi was the first to establish worship of a murti of Gauranga. This has been stated in Murari Gupta's Kadacha. Prakasha Rupena Nija Priyaya Prakasha Rupena, I'm guessing, Nija Priyaya Samipam Asadya Nijad Himurtim Vidhaya Tasyad Stita Ena Kana Sa Lakshmi Rupa Cha Nine Vate Prabhum. There's definitely letters missing here. Anyways, what to do? Krishna came to his beloved wife in his expansion, Krishna's beloved wife in this expansion form to remain by her side as the Mahaprabhu Tithi. Thus, the incarnation of the goddess of fortune was able to serve him constantly. Wow, cool. The devotees of Mahaprabhu sometimes said that just as Ramachandra, who had taken the vow of monogamy, performed a sacrifice to a golden Sita that he had made during his exile in the forest, rather than marry a second time, so Vishnupriya repaid her debt to her Lord in the pastimes of Gaura-Narayan by having an image of Mahaprabhu created so that she could perform the sacrifice of the holy name to him. This deity is still present and worshipped in Navadvip. Sri Vangsilan Thakur and Ishan Thakur were blessed by the service of taking care of Vishnupriya Devi and Sachi Devi after Mahaprabhu took sannyas. Alright, so now we're going to read about who's next on the list. Raghunatha Swami. Oh man, okay, let's see. I was trying to find that short about Raghunatha Goswami, and this might be a little bit too long. Actually, I might have done this last year because this is probably too long. I'm going to read from Śrīla Bhakti Viveka Bha because he wrote something really short. He spoke something really short on Raghunatha. Let me just go. Okay. So this is spoken by Śrīla Bhakti Viveka Bha on February 2014 and February 1st, 2017. Let me just check, make sure everything's running okay. Okay, his name is now Srimad Paramadvaiti Maharaj Prahlad Prabhu. Okay, cool. Actually, I think the book should be done by now, the new edition of that book. I'll have to get it. Or maybe it'll be finished this Gaura-Purnima. I don't know. Last year he told me that it's going to be ready soon. Okay, so let's find this by Raghunatha Goswami. Okay. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami was a prince and the sole heir to both his father and uncle, Hiranya and Govardhan. Using Raghunath Das Goswami as an example, Chaitanya gave us many lessons. When Raghunath Das met Chaitanya Dev in Shantipur, Mahaprabhu perceived that Raghunath Das desired to leave his family and come with him. Using Raghunath Das as an example to instruct those who have an unsteady mind, Mahaprabhu ordered Raghunath Das, "Be patient and return home. Don't be mad." One second. Slowly you will cross the material ocean. Do not do monkey renunciation. A monkey appears to be very renounced. He doesn't wear clothes, has no house to stay, no belongings or accumulation for the future. He sits just like a yogi with his palms folded on his forehead. But actually, he has his eyes on everyone's bag. As soon as he gets a chance, he will, without any warning, instantly snatch whatever he can from your bag. A monkey exemplifies someone who wears the dress of a renunciate on the outside, but manifests complete enjoying tendency inside. Andar mein sakta, bahir mein shaiva. This is an expression referring to those who wear their enjoying tendency inside, but externally they are digambar, naked, often wearing ashes on their body. And in a religious assembly, they act as Vaishnavas. Srila Raghunath Das accepted Mahaprabhu's instructions and returned home. Thereafter, he carried out his household activities just like a materialist. Later, when Prabhu came to Raghava Pandit's house in Panihati village, Raghunath Das went there to meet him. When he arrived, Raghunath Das introduced to Nityananda Prabhu as the son of Govardhan Jumadar, offering his respects to you. Why did it say you? Anyways, offering his respects to him. There's a picture of that. Nityananda Prabhu exclaimed, "Thief, you are stealing and trying to run away, but today I have caught you. Now you must treat us all with a dahi chira feast." Raghunath Das was profusely elated to arrange for the festival. He also gave dakshina to all who attended the festival as per Raghava Pandit's advice. Thus he served the Vaishnavas very nicely. At the end, he expressed to Nityananda Prabhu, "I do not like this material world. Please bestow your mercy so that I can escape and attain the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet." Nityananda Prabhu placed his feet on Raghunath Das's head and blessed him. "Your attachments have been removed." Raghunath Das asked, "I am being watched by guards day and night. How can I escape?" Nityananda Prabhu said, "When the time is appropriate, you will get the inspiration in your heart." From this, we get the lesson that only after first receiving Nityananda Prabhu's mercy, one can have Mahaprabhu's mercy. Without Nityananda Prabhu's mercy, one cannot have darshan of Vrindavan either. Alright, so that's in honor of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami ki jai. Now, let's move on to Raghunandana Thakur. We'll read from the Gaura-parṣada book. Oh, and I should have started off actually reading about Vasanti Ras. Anyways, I guess I'll read it at the end. But yeah, this is from the book Nectar of Govinda Lila, chapter 4, but we'll read that at the end. So let's go back to this book, Gaura-parṣada Caritāvalī. Raghunandana Thakur. We'll skip this one. Okay. Vyuhastritya pradumna priyanarma sako bhavat chakra lila sahayam yo madhavayor raje Shri Chaitanya Dvaita Tanu Sa Eva Raghunandana. The third member of the Chatur Vyuha, Pradyumna, took part in Radha Madhav's Leela in Vraj as Krishna's intimate friend or Priyanarma Saka. He has now appeared as Raghunandan, whose body is not different from that of Sri Chaitanya. It's from Gaura-parṣada verse 70. Interesting. So he's a Chatur Vyuha, and he's one of Krishna's Priyanarma Sakas. So I keep on getting messages, just making sure it's not anything. Oh yes. Let's Rup Manjari just sent this picture of Vishnu Priya's Mahaprabhu here. Let's have darshan. Jai Ho. So beautiful. He almost looks like he's wearing a sari. That's so interesting. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so now Raghunandan's father, Mukunda Das. Raghunandan was born into a family of physicians in the Shaka year 1432. That's 1510 AD. His father's name was Mukunda Das. His mother's name is unknown. Mukunda Das was Narahari Sarkar Thakur's older brother. In the 15th chapter of the Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is clearly said that Mukunda Das was a physician to the king. Externally, he appears to be a physician to the king who is engaged in government service, but internally, he is filled with love. Who would be able to know his love? That's from Chaitanya Charitamrita 2:15-120. Once, when Mukunda Das was engaged in treating the king, he saw a peacock feather and fainted. This incident is also described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita 2:15-12. His home was in Sri Khanda, a village in Burdwan district. On the Katwa-Burdwan rail line, the first station west of Katwa is Shripat Sri Khanda, and the second Sri Khanda. I've been there a bunch of times. really sweet village. Mukunda Das's home is about 1 mile from the Srikhanda station. Raghunandan Thakur took birth Vasanta Pañcamī day. His uncle Narahari took a great deal of interest in raising Raghunandan, for whom he had much affection. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu indicated that one's importance increases with the depth of devotion by telling Mukunda Das that his son was really his father. The 3 most important devotees from Srikhanda were Mukunda Das, Raghunandan, and Narahari. Oh, I'm sorry, I was just thinking. There's another person, I thought. Anyways. Because Murari is also from Srikhanda, one of Mahaprabhu's associates. Okay, so Mahaprabhu asked Mukunda Das, are you Raghunandan's father, and he your son? Or is he your father, and you his son? Tell me so that I can put my doubts to rest. Mukunda answered, Raghunandan is my father, and I am his son. Rest assured. Whatever devotion we have comes from him. Therefore, I see him as my father. When he heard Mukunda Das's answer, Mahaprabhu was thrilled, and he said, he from whom we imbibe devotion is certainly our Guru. That's from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 15, 112, 117. Mahaprabhu gave Raghunandan the service of deity worship. Raghunandan's work is to serve Krishna. He has no interest in anything other than serving Krishna. From the same chapter, 31. From his early childhood, Raghunandan Thakur would feed the family's Gopinath Didi ladus. Uddhav Das has written a song in which this Leela is described. The song is so beautiful. I heard a beautiful rendition of it also. I mean, it's like singer sing it. Anyways, I want to put that in the app, this song. Mukunda Das lived in the village of Srikhanda, where his household deity was named Gopinath. One day he had to go somewhere for work, and he called Raghunandan to do the service. He said, in this house we worship Krishna, so I want you to be sure to give him something to eat. And then he left. Raghunandan did as his father had ordered, and made the offering to the deity. Raghunandan was just a child, and in his simplicity, he said to Gopinath, eat, eat. Krishna is controlled by love, and so he did as the child told him, and ate everything on the plate without leaving a grain of rice. When Mukunda Das returned, he asked the boy to bring him the prasad from the offering he had made. The child answered, Father, he ate everything and left no remnants. Mukunda was astonished at his child's wonderful words, that he had asked him again on another occasion to make it. Mukunda was astounded at his child's wonderful words. He was so astounded that he asked him again on another occasion to make an offering. This time, after he left the house, he returned and hid to watch what his son would do. Raghunandan joyfully placed a laddu in Krishna's hand and said in a commanding voice, Eat, eat! When Krishna had eaten half of the laddu, Raghunandan saw Mukunda Das in the doorway. Mukunda saw that Krishna did not take another bite, and that half-eaten laddu remained in his hand. This caused him to be filled with love. He embraced his child, and, as tears of joy rained from his eyes, spoke to him in a broken voice. To this day, fortunate people come to Srikhanda to see the half-eaten laddu in Gopinath's hand. Raghunandan is not different from Cupid himself, says Uddhav Das with great feeling. Yeah, I'm going to put this song in the Gaudiya Kirtan app, or whatever, the Gaudiya Kirtan website once we have that ready. All the Mahantas felt fascinated to see the Gopinath deity whom Raghunandan had fed ladus. It's Bhakti Ratnakar 9525. On YouTube, there's a Leela Kirtaniya, what's his name? Suman Bhattacharya, and he sings this song, a really beautiful melody. Other miraculous events. Narahari Sarkar Thakur gave mead? What's mead? I don't even know what that is. Okay, mead is an alcoholic drink of fermented honey and water. Oh, actually, I have heard that word mead before. Yeah, okay. So, Narahari Sarkar Thakur gave mead honey wine to Nityananda Prabhu and Mahaprabhu from a pond which was to their home. Oh yeah, This pond became known as Madhu Pushkarini. The legend is told that a kadamba tree which grew right next to the pond always had 2 flowers blooming regardless of the season by Raghunandan's miraculous powers. According to the Gaudiya Vaishnava Abhidan, another miraculous event took place in Raghunandan's life. One day, Abhiram Thakur came to Srikhanda and paid his obeisances to Raghunandan. Then he embraced him and melted with feelings of prem. Raghunandan started to dance and sing kirtan, and while doing so, one of his ankle bells slipped from his foot and went flying off, landing 4 miles away in Akaihat near his disciple Krishnadasa's house. I've been to that place also quite a few times. Later, in order to commemorate the event, a tank was excavated there, which was given the name Nupur Kund. Mahaprabhu, the father of Sankirtan, gave his adopted son Raghunandan Thakur the authority to offer the island on the day before Sankirtan Yajna, the Adivas, and to make the final offering at the Yajna's end. Raghunandan Thakur accompanied the Bengali devotees to Puri every year at Chaturmasya. He would dance with his uncle Narahari at the Rath Yatra festival in a group formed by the residents of Srikhanda. He participated in the Keturi festival organized by Nartam Das Thakur at Gadadhar Das's festival in Katwa at the commemorative festival for Narahari Sarkar Thakur in Srikhanda. Some people said, anyone who is dear to Raghunandan will win Mahaprabhu's mercy for life after life. Others said, Raghunandan is so merciful that he gives life to the most humble and fallen. Some said, what humility! There is no one who is his equal. And others said, he is as beautiful as Kandarpa himself. That's from Bhakti Ratnakar. Srila Raghunandan Thakur had great affection for Srinivasacharya. Prior to his disappearance, he consoled Srinivas that despite the difficult times, he would be able to spread Vaishnavism in the future. A difficult time is coming in which people will succumb to various doubts. Narahari Prabhu wrote in his Shri Krishna Bhajanamrita, Krishna Chaitanya Chandrena Nityanandena Samhrite Avatare Kalavasmin Vaishnava Sarva Evahi Bhavishyanti Sadodigna Kale Kale Dine Dine Praya Sandigdha Hridaya Uttame Taramadhyama. Once our Lord Krishna Chaitanya and his companion Nityananda Prabhu have ended their mission, the Vaishnavas in this age of Kali will be anxious with every passing day. Whether very advanced, somewhat advanced, or neophyte, their hearts will nearly always be filled with doubt. Wow, that's heavy. But don't let this worry you. Lord Gauranga will accomplish many great works through you. I bless you that you will remain long on this earth, and that you and your followers protect our Lord's religion. Those who are opposed to devotion to Krishna will become devotees by your influence, and they will take shelter of you. That's from Bhakti Ratnakar. Raghunandan Thakur bequeathed the service of his Gaur Gopal deity to his son Kanai Thakur, and then left this world on the 4th day of the waxing moon in the month of Shravan. Kanai Thakur gave a feast as a part of his father's last rites. Raghunandan slowly became hidden to mortal eyes while repeating again and again the names of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. How glorious is that day of Shravan Shukla Chaturthi! Who will not sing the glories of Raghunandan Thakur? That's from Bhakti Ratnakar 13, verse 183. It's from the book Sri Chaitanya, His Life and Associates. Srila Bhakti Vallabha. Alright, so next we'll read about Pundarik Vidya Nidhi. Okay, 1 second. Oh, 1 second, let me just check again. Everything's good. Oh, okay, so this book, Gaura-parṣada Caritāvalī, is ready. So that means it's been printed already, yeah? Okay, great. I will definitely purchase a copy when I'm in Navadip, and I'd like to scan it. So I wonder if it's available in Vrindavan. If it's available in Vrindavan, then I can get Srivasa's mother to scan it, and then I could send it to you, Manjari. Okay. Vrishabhanutaya khyata puro yo vrajamandale adhana pandarikaksho vidyanidhi mahashaya swakiya bhavamasvadya radha viraha katara chaitanya pundarikaksham aye tattavadat swayam prema nidhitaya kyatim goro yasmai tado sukhi madhavendrasya shishyatvat gauravam cha sada karot tat prakasha visheshopi mishra shri madhavo mata ratnatat patni kirtida kirtita buddhi. Sorry, Budhai. This is from Gaura-parṣada Caritāvalī, verse 54. He who is previously known in Vraj as Vrishabhanu is known here as Shri Pundarikaksha Vidyanidhi. When Mahaprabhu was in his own mood as Krishna and felt the pain of separation from Radha, he would call him father. Gaurachandra was happy with Pundarik, and he named him Prema Nidhi, or the treasure house of love. Mahaprabhu always treated him with respect. He was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. Madhav Mishra is said to be his expansion, and his wife Ratnavati was Kirtida and Vraj. Madhav Mishra. Madhav Mishra, that name sounds so familiar to me. Is Madhav Mishra? Oh, Madhav Mishra is Gadadhar Pandit's father. Yes. It's in Gadadhar Pandit's Pranam Mantra. What is it? God, I used to know it. There's 2 Pranam Mantras. Madhava. Shoot. Anyways. Pundarik's father was named Baneshwar, and his mother Ganga Devi. He was born on Vasanta Pañcamī, the 5th day of the waxing moon in the month of Magh, in Chakrashala and Chittgang. His home, or Shripat, used to stand in the village of Mekhala, which is 2 miles east of the Hat Hajari police station, about 12 miles north of the city of Chittgang. Vidyanidhi's father was a Varendra Brahmin, who hailed from the town of Bhagia in the district of Dhaka. Pundarik Vidyanidhi himself was a wealthy zamindar of Chakrashala. He is a zamindar of Chakrashala, extremely rich and very pure in his actions. He is a Varendra Brahmin, whose lineage is extremely respectable. His name is Shri Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Sometimes he stays in Chittagong and sometimes in Navadip. He is a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. That's from Prem Vilas 22. The Lord glorifies Pundarik. Shri Pundarik Vidyanidhi came to Navadip because he wished to live by the banks of the Ganges. Mahaprabhu, the indweller of all beings, knew prior to his coming that he had such a desire, and one day in the assembly of devotees started calling out, "Pundarik, my friends, my father," and started crying. When his associates asked him why he was crying in this way, the Lord described Pundarik Vidyanidhi to them in the following way. His character is quite extraordinary. Just by hearing his name, the whole world is purified. But he dresses and looks just like a materialistic person in the midst of the... Oh God, I don't know this word. In the midst of the accoutrements. An additional item of dress or equipment. Okay, anyways. He looks just like a materialistic person in the midst of the, I don't know, accoutrements of the life and pleasure. No one is able to recognize him as a Vaishnava. Yet he remains constantly merged in a deep ocean of devotion for Krishna. He never bathes in the Ganges because he is afraid to touch the holy waters with his feet, which would show disrespect. He only goes to take darshan of the Ganges at night from a distance. He cannot bear to see people engage in offensive behavior to the Ganges by gargling, cleaning their teeth, washing their hair in the waters, so he never goes there during the daytime. He never engages in worship of the deity without having taken a drink of Ganges water. He has homes in both Chittagong and Navadip, and will soon be arriving here. Because of his apparently materialistic behavior, you will not be able to recognize him. But I feel unwell because I am not able to see him. The Supreme Lord has appeared in Navadip, but he heaves long sighs because he doesn't see Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Lord Gauranga stands up and starts to dance, calling out loudly, "Pundarik, my father! Friend, my father! When will I see you?" That's from Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Kanda, 7th chapter. It is thought that Pundarik Vidyanidhi took initiation from Madhavendra Puripad at the same time that Advaita Acharya did. Mahaprabhu always showed him the respect that was due to the godbrother of his own guru. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes, "I know Sri Pundarik Vidyanidhi to be a major branch, for the Lord himself cried while spontaneously calling out his name." It's Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 10. Gadadhar becomes Pundarik's disciple. Srila Gadadhar Pandit Goswami, Mukunda Datta, and Vasudev Datta were also originally from Chittagong, so they were acquainted with Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Indeed, Gadadhar Pandit's father, Madhav Mishra, was his good friend. And expansion, right? That's what we just said. Mukunda Datta knew his transcendental person and that he was a Vaishnav, but Gadadhar did not, even though he was from the same town. This was, of course, a pretense for the sake of Leela. When Pundarik was living in Navadip, Mukunda Datta told Gadadhar one day that he wanted to introduce him to a great Vaishnav. Srila Gadadhar Pandit Goswami was a brahmachari from childhood and extremely detached from the senses and aesthetic in his lifestyle. He was aesthetic in his lifestyle. When he saw Pundarik sitting on a comfortable cushions covered in sheets as white as the foam of milk, and wearing very expensive clothes and perfumes, smoking from a hookah, and generally surrounded by all the trappings of a sensual lifestyle, he was unable to recognize him as a Vaishnav. Indeed, he felt let down. Mukunda could see from Gadadhar's face what was going through his head, and in order to bring out Pundarik's inner mood, he recited 2 verses from the Bhagavatam that enkindle the flames of Krishna. Aho bhakiyam stakutam jighangshaya payad apyasadvi lebe gatim datruchitam tatonyam kamva dayalum sharanam prapade. That's from Srimad Bhagavatam 3:2-20. Putana loka balagni rakshasi rudirashana jigham shayapi haraye stanam datvapa sargatim. How truly amazing! The sister of Bakasura, the evil Putana, was sent on a mission to kill Krishna. He drank the Kalakuta poison mixed with her breast milk, and despite her evil intentions, he awarded her the position of a wet nurse, as Ambika Kalimba in Goloka. Who is more merciful than he? That I should take shelter of him? Nice. The Rakshasi Putana was a blood-drinking killer of infants. Even though she wanted to kill Krishna, because she gave him her breast, she attains the auspicious goal of a nurse in Goloka. As soon as he heard these 2 verses in glorification of Krishna's mercy, Sri Pundarik Vidyanidhi cried out, "Ha Krishna!" and he fell to the floor in a swoon. He began to roll on the floor in ecstasy, knocking over the hookah and tearing his clothes. When he saw these transcendental symptoms of love on Pundarik's body, Gadadhar realized that he had committed an offense, which he began to regret. he decided that the only way to rid himself of this offense would be to take initiation from Pundarik, and he related this idea to Mukunda. Mukunda then communicated his desire to Pundarik, who happily set a date for the auspicious act. Mahaprabhu also gave his approval, and so Gadadhar took mantra initiation from Pundarik Vidyanidhi. In Krishna Lila, Shri Pundarik Vidyanidhi is Vrishabhanu, and Srila Gadadhar Pandit Gosvāmī is Radha. Because of his identity as Vrishabhanu, Mahaprabhu would call out to him as father when he was himself in the mood of Srimati Radharani. The deep affection from the previous lives' relation became apparent between Pundarik and Gadadhar. No one can understand the pastimes of the Vaishnavas without their mercy. Vaishnava chinite nare devara shakati mui konachara shishu alpamati. I didn't know the second part of this, because this first line is always quoted everywhere, but I never knew about this part. Even the gods are unable to recognize a Vaishnava, so how can a foolish fallen child like myself do so? Even though Pundarik Vidyanidhi was a great Vaishnava, he kept it secret and appeared just like a materialistic person. One cannot recognize a Vaishnava through any superficial examination. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvatī Gosvāmī Thakur writes in his Gaudiya-bhashya to the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Krishna Lila is not accessible to pure sensual understanding. Krishna's servants occasionally go unrecognized due to their apparently materialistic surroundings. In this way, they deceive the conditioned souls. Most scholars take Krishna's activities to be those of a material lover because of their own obsession with sensuality, and thus they have no faith in him. Others consider Krishna to be an ordinary man who is born and dies and is transformed, and thus they have no idea of who he really is. Krishna's devotees are also sometimes reluctant to reveal their real selves to those who are unworthy, and thus make a pretense of being ordinary materialistic persons. Gauranga Mahaprabhu is also sometimes called the Prachana Avatar, or hidden incarnation. In the same spirit, Pundarik put on the show of being a sensualist for those who are capable of being deceived by someone's external appearance. One day, Pundarik Vidyanidhi came to see Mahaprabhu when it was already quite late at night. As soon as he saw the Lord, he was so overcome by love that he could not even pay his obeisances. Mahaprabhu was similarly anxious to see his most dear devotee, Pundarik, and he immediately took him to his breast and washed him with his tears of love. The devotees heard Mahaprabhu cry and call Pundarik father and treasure of love. They knew that he was most dear to him. Pundarik Vidyanidhi was also known to Mahaprabhu's associates as Acharya Nidhi. The Supreme Lord cried and called out, Pundarik, father! Today I have seen my own father. Today I rose from my sleep at an auspicious moment, and I saw Prema Nidhi standing before me. That's from Chaitanya Bhagavat 2.7.131 and verse 143. You know, it's starting to get late. I want to read this myself later on, but it's already 8:30 and I still want to read some more things, so I'm going to put this link here so that you can read the rest. I think that's all we'll read about. Accoutrements. Okay. Okay, so I just put the link there. You should see it in the comments if you want to read the rest of this beautiful article, chapter of this book from Śrīla Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Goswāmī's book. Now we will read about Vishwanath Chakravartī Thakur from the same book. Okay. Vishvasya nataruposo bhakti varma pradarshanat bhakta Cakravartī tattvat Cakravartyakhya bhavat. Because he revealed the path of devotion, he is considered to be identical with the Lord of the universe, Vishwanath. and because he was predominant in the circle of Vaishnavas, he held the title Cakravartī. Vishwanath Chakravartī Thakur's birth and his disciplic succession. Vishwanath took birth in a family of Radhiya Brahmins in the village of Vivagram in Nadia district in about 1560 on the Shaka era, which is 1638 AD. Some others suggest 1656 AD as his year of birth. The Gaudiya Vaishnava Abhidan identifies his father as Ram Narayan Chakravartī. His mother's name is unknown. He had two brothers, Ramabhadra and Raghunath. His spiritual master was Radharaman Chakravartī, a disciple of Krishna Charan Chakravartī. Krishna Charan Chakravartī was a disciple and, according to some, adopted son of Ganga Narayan Chakravartī. Vishwanath and all their samadhis are in Radha Gokulananda here. Vishwanath has summarized his Guru Parampara at the beginning of the Ras Panchadhyay section of his Sa-Artha Darshini commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Shri Ramakrishna Ganga Charanam Natva Gurun Uru Premna Shilanartamanatha Shri Gauranga Prabhum Naomi. In this verse, Radharaman Chakravarti's name is abbreviated as Ram, Krishna Charan's name is as Krishna, and Ganga Narayan's name as Ganga. The word Nath refers to Lokanath Gosvāmī, whose guru was Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Thus, the entire disciplic succession of Vishwanath has been given in this one single verse. Oops, Nartam was missed out here in this translation. See, Shilanartam Nath. Anyways, I'm sure that will be fixed in this next edition. Vishwanath studies and writings. After completing his studies of grammar in Devagram, Vishwanath went to Syedabad in the Murshidabad district to study devotional scriptures from his guru. According to the Gaudiya Vaishnava Abhidan, Vishwanath was married. Although he was married according to the rites, he never showed the slightest attachment for family life. It is said that he taught his wife the Bhagavat, giving her a taste for its nectar, and instructed her to devote herself to the worship of the Lord before he left home. Srila Vishwanath Chakravartī Thakur followed the example of Sri Rupa and went to live in Vrindavan, where he could dedicate himself to the devotional life. As a result of his commitment to following the orders of his spiritual master, he received many blessings from him. These blessings took shape in his good fortune to be able to live in the various spots of Vrajdham and write a great number of books on Gaudiya Vaishnava subjects, which are considered to be a great treasure by those in the Sampradaya. All his books and his commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavat are written in a Sanskrit, which is clear and simple, but at the same time full of the nectar of devotion. In the edition of the Bhagavad Gita published by Gaudiya Math, the following points are raised under the heading, a description of the commentary. In Gaudiya Vaishnava history, Vishwanath was the guardian and chief teacher of the middle period. Amongst Vaishnavas of our day, a saying has been preserved about the three of his works: Kirana Bindu Khan, Tin Niye Vaishnava Pan. Vishwanath's how do you say that? Resumes. Anyways, Vishwanath's, I don't know that word, Rupa Goswami's Ujjvala Nilamani Kiran, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, and Laghu Bhagavatamrita Kana are the source of transcendental joy for the Vaishnavas. Studying them makes one a Vaishnava. After the disappearance of Mahaprabhu's Vrindavan associates, Srinivas, Narottam, and Shyamananda preserved the traditions and expanded the movement in Bengal. Vishwanath is the 14th descendant in the disciplic line from Narottam Das. Few acharyas of the Gaudiya, he is the 4th descendant, Few acharyas of the Gaudiya Vaishnava school have been as productive as Vishwanath. Besides writing this large corpus of books, Vishwanath also made two other major contributions, both of which are related to preaching and kirtan. Rupa Kaviraj was excommunicated from Vaishnava society. He was the founder of an Upasampradaya which taught that only renunciates were eligible to act as acharya. All householders are disqualified. He preached a distorted doctrine of Raganuga Bhakti, which completely negates the value of Vidya, minimizing the importance of hearing and chanting. To the benefit of the general public, Vishwanath has argued against this doctrine in the Sa-artha Darshini commentary on the third canto of the Bhagavat. Rupa Kaviraj holds that no householder can take the Gosvāmī title. Vishwanath counters this proposition by stating on the basis of scripture that any member of a dynasty of gurus who has the proper qualifications is entitled to be called a Gosvāmī. That is, he can do the work of a guru or acharya. However, to call one's unworthy children Goswamis simply for the purpose of accumulating wealth and disciples is opposed to the scriptural conclusion to be considered unlawful, even if born in a family with a tradition of acting as gurus. Vishwanath Chakravartī Thakur wrote Bengali songs under the pen name of Hari Vallabh Das. Some people say that this name was given to him when he took the Vairagi Vesh. In all respects, Vishwanath is worthy of superlatives, whether in his expertise in philosophical discourse, his knowledge of Vaishnava scriptures, or his poetic talent. The following is a list of the books written by Vishwanath Chakravartī Thakur. 1. Vraj Riti Chintamani, Chamatkar Chandrika, Prem Samput, Gitavali, Subodhini commentary to the Alankar Kostuba, Ananda Chandrika commentary to Ujjvala Nilamani, a commentary on Gopal Tapani Upanishad, Sri Krishna Bhavanamrita, a Mahakaya, Sri Bhagavatamrita Kana, Ujjvala Nilamani Kiran Lesh, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, Raghvartma Chandrika, Aishwarya Kadambini, which appears to have been lost, Madhurya Kadambini, Bhakti Sar Pradarshini, a commentary on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Ananda Chandrika, a commentary on the Ujjvala Nilamani, a commentary on the Dankeli Kumudi, a commentary on the Lalita Madhav, an incomplete commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita, a commentary on the Brahma Samhita, Sa-artha Varshini, a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, Sa-artha Darshini, a commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam. He also wrote a number of small works, which have been collected as Stavamrita Lahari. Oh wow. Should we read all this? Okay, I'll read it. Guru Tatvashtak. Wow, it's called Guru Tatvashtak. Yeah, that's Gurvashtak. Mantra Datri Gurvashtak, Param Gurashtak, Paratpar Gurashtak, Param Paratpar Gurashtak. I think we translated this one? No. Remember, we translated one of these. Maybe it was the Lokanath Ashtak. Then Shri Nartamashtak, Shri Sachi Nandanashtak, Shri Sarup Charitram. Oh, Uma Didi asked me to sing this yesterday. And so I did. I sang it in my room. Swapna Vilasamritam, Shri Gopala Devashtak, Shri Madan Mohanashtak, Shri Govindashtak, Shri Gopinathashtak, Shri Gokulanandashtak, Swayam Bhagavadashtak, Shri Radhakundashtak, Jagan Mohan Ashtak, Anuragavalli, Shri Vindadevashtak, Shri Vindavanashtak, Radha Dhyanamrita, Shri Rupa Chintamani, Shri Nandishwara Ashtak, Shri Govardhan Ashtak, Shri Sankalpa Kalpadruma, my Gurudeva published this as a book, Shri Nikunja Virudavali, Shri Surata Kathamrita, and Shri Shamakundashtak. His student Baladev. When Chakravartī Thakur was unhampered in his ability to travel, the acharyas of the Ramanuja Sampradaya in the Galta village of Jaipur attempted to convert the court to their school by denying that the Gaudiya school had any historical basis. They accused the Gaudiyas of not having a tie to any one of the four Vaishnava disciple successions. They advised the king of Jaipur to take initiation from someone in the Ramanuja line. The king was confused by their arguments and asked Vishwanath, who is the most prominent acharya of the Gaudiya school at that time, to come to Jaipur and answer the questions posed by the Ramanuja group. Due to his advanced age, Vishwanath was unable to go, but in his stead, he sent his dear student Baladev Vidyabhushan to defend the line. One of the arguments of the Ramanujis was that the Gaudiya school had no commentary of its own on the Vedanta. Baladev asked the accusers for some time, 7 days according to some, 3 months according to others, to write a Gaudiya commentary on Vedanta. He was given the time and then went to the Govinda temple and prayed to his guru and to the Lord to give him the power to write such a commentary. Govindaji's garland fell from around his neck, and the pujaris placed it in his chest. Baladev took this as a sign that the Lord had given him authorization. With the Lord's blessings, even the impossible becomes possible, and Baladev, under writing of comments to the 500 sutras of the Brahma Sutra, completing it in the limited time given to him without neglecting the aesthetic qualities of the Gaudiya tradition in any way. When he went to Galta, the scholars of the other sampradayas were astonished by the quality of Baladev's commentary. Because Govindaji himself had ordered its writing, the commentary became known as Govinda Bhashya. It was after completing this commentary that Baladev received the Vidyabhushan title. It is said of Vishwanath that when he wrote the Bhagavat, when it rained, water fell everywhere except the place where he was sitting. Thus the ink did not run, and the text remained intact. Vishwanath established the service of Gokulananda. Gokulanandaji temple stands in Vrindavan. Vishwanath left this world in Radhakund in 1630 of the Shaka era, that is 1708 AD. The Tithi was either the Shukla or Krishna Pañcamī of the month of Magh. That's all right. So that was Vishwanath Chakravartī Thakur. We're not going to read that. Okay, I guess there's just one thing left. Also today's the disappearance day of Śrīla Bhakti Viveka Bha Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Let's see if there's something very short about Bhakti Viveka Bha Gosvāmī Mahārāja, then we could read it. That's going to be long, I know it. Let's see if there's anything here. Here. Okay, there's something really short. Let's read this. Yeah. Okay. Today, so this is from class from Śrīla Bhakti Viveka Bha Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Today is also the disappearance day of my Shiksha Guru, Tridandi Swami Śrīla Bhakti Viveka Bha Gosvāmī Mahārāja, a jewel-like disciple of Śrīla Prabhupada, who is especially empowered by Mahaprabhu. Here's just zooming in. Okay. Śrīla Bhakti Viveka Gosvāmī Mahārāja was a senior disciple of Śrīla Prabhupada and a very good preacher of wonderful character. Before joining the Math permanently, he is working as a secretariat, I don't know what that is, and would spend his holidays in the Math on Ulta Danga Road. He stayed on the first floor. During one such visit, he was returning to his room when he heard Śrīla Prabhupada mention him. There was that boy, I don't see him anymore, but I recall how he used to hear Hari Katha very carefully. Then he heard someone reply, he has left to get married. Śrīla Prabhupada asked, nobody can make him stay back? Then Mahārāja, who was already climbing the stairs, appeared in front of Śrīla Prabhupada and announced, I have returned. Śrīla Prabhupada asked, you came back? To which he affirmed, yes, I have come back. After this incident, he never left the Math, nor did he get married. Once, although it was raining outside in Mayapur, he took the initiative to clean vessels while getting drenched in the rain. When Srila Prabhupada observed this, feeling he had the appropriate qualification to accept sannyas, he told him it would be good for him to take sannyas. He had a very tall figure. When he performed Nagar Sankirtan, he would attract many people. Srila Bhakti Viveka Bha Gosvāmī Mahārāja had a broad face, and he did very nice kirtan. Being absorbed in kirtan, he would lift his hands up. He preached extensively. His kathā was always very sweet. Once while preaching in Dhaka, several people opposed him, as there was a very strong Sahajya influence there. Nobody was prepared to even rent out a building for the Gaudiya Math. Nevertheless, Srila Bhakti Viveka Bha Gosvāmī Mahārāja spoke kathā in Dhaka for a month and attracted many to attend his programs. He resolved to acquire land in Dhaka for the Gaudiya Math from the municipality there. Land could be easily obtained with a letter from the commissioner granting permission. Because of the prevailing opposition to the Gaudiya Math, no Hindu was willing to give the recommendation. In the end, a Muslim commissioner recommended him, and hence a large math was established in Dhaka. Mahārāja carried out so much preaching there. Once there was an exhibition in which the story of Chota Haridas was depicted. There is also a picture depicting people collecting money from pilgrims in exchange for darshan of the deity in a temple. The same type of people were also depicted using shaligram to break groundnuts for eating. While this exhibition was largely opposed in Kolkata, the people of Dhaka very much appreciated it. Srila Bharati Maharaj made another math in Swargadwar by the name of Gaudiya Asan. He later handed the math over to Srila Sri Rup Siddhanti Maharaj, whose sevaks are taking care of it now. He also handed over his Kolkata math to Srila Sri Swarup Siddhanti. Oh, who's calling me right now? Sorry, could you guys wait 1 second? Because this might be important. It's Tunga Vidya Mataji. I'll answer later. Actually, give me a second. I'm just sending her a message telling her. Hari Bol Tunga Vidya Mataji. I'm just in the middle of doing a live reading. If it's an emergency though, call me right now. Otherwise, I will call you as soon as I'm done. Alright, so now we're going to read. Oh, and so today is also Srila Bhakti Swarup Parvat Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Srila Bhakti Swarup Parvat Gosvāmī Mahārāja was from Godrum. When he was a young boy, Srila Thakur Bhakti Vinod used to give him 2 kartals. That's a picture of him. And sent him out, instructing him to sing the kirtan Nadiya Godrume Nityananda Mahajan. Upon his return, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur would give him prasad. On the instruction of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he took Harinam from Srila Krishnadas Babaji, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's disciple, whose samadhi is next to Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's in Godrum. Later on, Srila Krishnadas Babaji said to Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, "As per your instruction, I've given him Harinam, but I'm not qualified to give him Diksha." So Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur asked him to take Diksha from Srila Prabhupada. Srila Parvat Mahārāja's speech was quite harsh. Hence, people were not as inclined to hear from him. Once he gave a talk in a school in Kaptipad, Orissa. He said, "When I speak, what will these people understand? They are not well educated. How will they understand if they are uneducated?" The teachers and the king of Kaptipad were also present there, and they all opposed him. Suspecting that the upset citizens might try to attack him that night, the sevaks of Srila Parvat Maharaj suggested, "You don't need to go. We will go and do kirtan and come back." But Srila Maharaj did not agree. He said, "Guruji sent us to preach, not to spoil the preaching. Due to my mistake in delivering the speech, if somebody beats me, I will tolerate it. Regardless, I will go there." At the beginning of his speech, he asked his audience, "What is Akshar Gyan?" This material world is a kshara vastu, a destructible object. Brahma is indestructible. Bhagavan is not part of this material world. Krishna Bhakti is transcendental to the material world. This is the real knowledge, and those who don't know this are therefore considered uneducated. Hearing his speech, people were astonished to hear what Mahārāja actually meant by education and appreciated his explanation. Later, Mahārāja established a mat in the same place. In another instance, he took the mud from the place where Śrīla Prabhupada was sitting when he had gone to preach and used that to establish a temple in Udala. Cool. Later, having met with an accident, traveling became very difficult for him. Still, he used to sit in a bullock cart or use a stick and travel for preaching without complaining. He never stopped preaching. He was very strict. He used to give 1 cup, 100 grams of wheat flour to his sevak to make 4 rotis for him. Once his sevak made 5 very fine rotis. Seeing this, Mahārāja chastised him heavily. I asked you to make 4. Why did you make 5? The sevak explained, I did not add more flour, but with the same amount I made thin rotis so it would be easier for you to mix with milk. Mahārāja would not accept this. He simply said, You're trying to feed me more and kill me. In reality, he wanted to teach his sevak that one should follow Guru's order exactly without the slightest deviation. Even though his sevaks feared him, nevertheless, their service attitude was so remarkable, they took very good care of him, especially when he was paralyzed. They would clean his toilet, carry him, feed him, and so on. So I have deep respect for all his servants. Srila Bhakti Rakshakshira Maharaj used to say to his servants, I feel like embracing you for your Guru Seva. Disappeared, they used to celebrate their annual function on his disappearance day. Our Guru Maharaj would attend that function. Later, Srila Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Maharaj and I used to go every year. It is not possible to mention all the details in one day. Therefore, I will tell more at another time. I just touch upon all these points because it will be an offense if I fail to honor them on their Tithi. So I remember them today and offer my Dandavat pranams to them, seeking their mercy. 1 second. Okay, Tungavidya Mataji didn't respond to my message. All right, so now we will read the last thing. What time is it? Oh my God, I've already gone half an hour over time. But we'll end with this. This is from my Śrīla Gurudeva on the topic of Vasanti Ras. This is an excerpt from Chapter 4 of Śrīla Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaja's book, The Nectar of Govinda Lila. Please click to hear a lecture in honor of Balaram Rats. Okay. Now Jayadev will begin describing the Vasanti Ras. My heart is palpitating, for I desire to write such a thing, which in this life I have not written before, and which is not mentioned anywhere, that Krishna will fall at the feet of Radhika. Wait. Okay, this is the right thing. Okay, sorry. Okay, sorry, I just wanted to make sure that I'm reading the right class. So yeah, Jayadev says, I'm desiring to write something which is not mentioned anywhere, that Krishna will fall at the feet of Radhika. We know it well, but Krishna is the supreme controller, the cause of all causes, and the original Bhagavat avatar. That he falls at the feet of his own potency, who is the form of his dasi? I don't know if this is proper, but my heart is saying that without Krishna putting his head at her feet, she will not be appeased. I don't know if I am able to write it. Jayadev goes on to describe that on the plains of Giriraj Govardhan at Chandra Sarovar, trained throughout the whole of one of Brahma's nights. What is the duration of Brahma's night? Millions of yugas. In order to witness the Ras Lila, he stayed there, so it is called Chandra Sarovar. In the spring season, all of the fruits and flowers in Vrindavan come out. The she-crow starts her cuckoo sound, and the peacock starts his keka sound. and it is as if the pigeons are playing the conch shell, making their cuckoo sounds, or cocoa sounds, I don't know. They are all making their own sounds, and collectively it sounds as if they are playing a shanai. In this way, all of the birds and animals become happy, and there is no one who is not dancing. Forming groups, Krishna and the gopis start dancing. All young unmarried girls are present there, and they have been waiting for 1 year. For meeting with Krishna. What? This text is messed up. For a whole year of separation had been... and they had been waiting for 1 year for dancing with Krishna, for meeting with Krishna. For a whole year, a fire of separation had been burning inside them. Not for themselves, not for lust, but for mitigating this separation. For really becoming immersed in Krishna's ras, one must enter into this poetry composed by Jayadev Goswami. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his heart full of ras, at night would tell Swarup Damodar, "Please recite Geet Govinda for me." Hearing it, immediately his pleasure would increase. Swarup Damodar would read precisely what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu desired to hear. Sometimes it was the poetry of Jayadev, sometimes Chandidas, sometimes Vidyapati, and sometimes he would read verses from the 5 chapters describing ras in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The gopis were clapping their hands as if they were kartals, and they played drums, the vina, and their sitar. Anyways, I think this is a mistranslation. You say clapping in Hindi is karatali. So, anyways. It was divinely beautiful. Played one rag after another. There are some melodies in which there is no ras, so they played only the rags that increased the ras. Krishna sang in a very high pitch and in different melodies. The gopis then sang one song in a higher pitch than Krishna. He wanted to sing higher, but couldn't, and he could only say, "Sadhu, sadhu." Very nice, bravo. Krishna was dancing, and with Srimati Radhika, he danced with such speed and dexterity that he himself was astonished, and he chanted, "Sadhu, sadhu," to himself. It's so funny. With one gopi, Krishna was holding hands, and with another, he was dancing by jumping up and down. Another, he was embracing, and another, he was kissing on the hands. Sometimes, with his eyes half open in great prema, he would look in the direction of a particular gopi. He would follow a certain rhythm of racing behind one gopi after another, and this was how Vasanti Ras is described. In a fraction of a second, as short as the blink of the eyes, thousands more gopis arrived and started dancing. Radhika saw that at that time, Krishna's Parama Aishwarya Shakti was not working. He had stopped it. Here, he kept the cause behind Yogamaya separate from him. He placed all of these potencies far away by telling them, "At this time, you will not do anything. For now, you can just sit quietly and watch." In this Śrīla of Krishna, everything was forgotten. Here, because Aishwarya was not manifest, Krishna didn't know that I am Bhagavan, and the gopis didn't know that we are Swari, we are the root of Yogamaya. All was forgotten. After a little while, Radhika saw, Krishna is a big cheater. He is cheating me. He seems to be dancing only with me, but actually he is dancing with everyone. Only because of his speed and dexterity does it seem that he is alone with me. Then Radhika exhibited some man, some just anger. If we feel this emotion, there is some selfishness in it. But in the hearts of the devotees, there is no selfishness. In our hearts, there is never any envy, but even if there is some, it is only a transformation of prema and mahabhav. Don't consider this to be a deformation, but rather an aspect of her variegatedness, her speciality. There is milk. Add some sugar, it becomes sweet. Mix a little kevra, then a little camphor and other things, and it becomes more and more sweet and tasteful. Like this, Radhika has her own uniqueness, and for making Krishna even happier, she exhibited some man. She left the ras and went to a kunj. But then what happened? Upon arriving there, why did I leave Krishna's association? He didn't leave me, I left him. If there's any unfortunate woman, it is me. There is no one as unfortunate as me. Meanwhile, Krishna met one Saki and requested her, "Please go to Radha and tell her that Krishna is saying, I am very unhappy for you. In the future, I will never do such a thing as I did again, and you will always be happy. Now you please forgive me." The Saki went to Radhika and seeing her condition, said, "Why are you behaving like this? Leaving Krishna, you came here. He tried to please you, but you wouldn't accept it, so why are you upset?" Just then, Lalita appeared there and said, "Krishna is a liar. Do not trust him. Don't ever reveal your simplicity to him. Remain crooked, otherwise you won't be able to have straightforward dealings with him. He will never understand your value, so always remain crooked." Durte Rajendratanaye Tanushishtapamyam. Dakshina Bhavakankinila Gavaya. The Saki tried in many ways to pacify Radhika, but she would not be appeased. When the Saki returned to Krishna and told him this, he said, "Somehow I must appease her." Then Krishna thought he would play a joke to appease her. Pretending to be very unhappy, his face became withered, and saying, "Now I am going," he left her and hid in a nearby kunj. Then some Sakis followed behind him, whispering, "Where is he going? Let us see." He entered a kunj and lay down amongst some large rocks. Seeing him lie down, the Sakis returned to Srimati Radhika, Lalita, Vishaka, and the others, and told them, "He has gone to a nearby kunj. Being very unhappy and in pain from your separation, he was not able to go any further, and he has fallen asleep." They said, "Where?" The Sakis then led Radhika and the others to the kunj. They peered into the entrance of the kunj and saw that his face was covered. They couldn't tell if he was crying or sleeping, or what he was doing. Then, moving closer, they saw that he was sleeping. His eyes were closed, and his face was a little covered. The gopis exchanged hand signals, because at that time, the supreme enemy, the flute, was hanging loosely in his hand. They thought that they should take it. They did not consider for a moment that they might be entering a trap, but just that they should take it. Then Radhika said, Yes, we should take it. But who will do it? Who will tie the bell around the cat's neck? Who will take the responsibility of snatching the flute from his hand? Friends, this is not a simple thing. His hand is like a snake. If someone approaches and tries to take the flute, the snake will bite him, give its poison, and it will never leave him. Therefore, who will dare to try? All of them thought together and concluded that it would not be possible for anyone except Srimati Radhika. So she said, "If all of you insist, then certainly I will try." Very, very slowly, just as a cat does, she crept closer. Walking very slowly and stealthily, smiling slightly and watching him, she went closer. But what was Krishna? He had heard everything that they had discussed amongst themselves, and feeling that he should enjoy himself a little, he thought, if Radha is to be appeased, there must be some direct conversation between us. But there has not been such an opportunity, therefore I will let the flute be taken, and then I will see how I can talk to Radha. I will ask each of them, "Where did you put my flute?" And in course of asking all of them, I will necessarily come to Radha, and then I will get the chance. It will be a moment of great happiness. Understanding everything, Krishna allowed his hands to become slack. Thinking him to be asleep, slowly Radhika crept near to him, and saw that he was apparently deeply asleep. When someone is sleeping lightly, they can be easily awakened. But when someone is in deep sleep, you cannot easily awaken them. Krishna appeared to be sleeping like that. Quickly, she snatched the flute from his hand, and at once the gopis ran from the kunj. As they were all running with their long hair swinging to and fro, Krishna opened his eyes, saying, "Hari, Hari! Hey, where has my flute gone?" He ran outside the kunj and said to the gopis, "You've stolen my flute!" He said to each gopi, "Did you take it?" Until he came to Radha. She replied, "What will you do with this useless piece of bamboo?" "Yes, I took it, and I will burn it also. It is only one piece of bamboo. In our garden we have thousands of sticks of bamboo, so what is the big deal about only one piece of bamboo? You can come and cut 1,000 and take them." In this way they were mutually joking, but they didn't realize that Krishna was knowingly joking with them. Still, Radhika was not appeased, although internally she desired to meet Krishna. He had already seen that sending her a messenger would not do it. So what did he do next? He himself expanded into Shamali. Assuming a very beautiful form, he approached the gopis with a basket of flowers in her hands, and in a sweet voice called out, "By rendering service to someone, I will mitigate all of their distress and fatigue, and they will become very happy." I'm sorry. At that time, Radhika and the Sakis were feeling fatigued and unhappy. Seeing Shamali, really, Radhika did not recognize the Saki as Krishna himself, and Lalita, Vishaka, and the others also did not recognize him. When Krishna assumes another form, who will recognize him? Even an ordinary actor changes dress, we cannot recognize who it is. For this purpose, he employed Yogamaya, and therefore, no one could recognize him. Shamali pleased Radhika by giving her a flower garland, which emanated a special fragrance. Radhika thought, "Where has this fragrance come from? Whose fragrance is this?" Knowing it to be related to Krishna, she was very pleased. Shamali began saying to Radhika, "In this world, there is no one who is as kind, who has as many good qualities, who shows respect to everyone, who is as grateful, and who is as expert in all 64 arts as Krishna is. What to speak of just in Vrindavan? In the entire Brahmanda, there is no one equal to him. And you have so many good qualities, and you are so beautiful. So towards him, you should not commit any offense." Praising Krishna like this, and praising Radha like this, Shamali proved that Krishna was not at fault. Radhika was fully appeased, and for her ultimate happiness, the final weapon was in his hands. Having returned to his original form, he said to Radhika, "In me, there is a fire of separation, and only the touch of your feet can cool it. Therefore, be merciful and decorate my head with your feet, because by doing so, you will also become happy." Being pleased, Radhika said, "Now agree to one thing. The flower bracelets on my feet are broken. Please rearrange them. As my hair plait has become loose, please tie it." Seeing that he had followed her every order, she thought, "He has obeyed all of my orders very nicely. He will never go to another gopi. Come, let there be ras." At that time, the Ras Lila was performed Chandra Sarovar, and this is how Vasanti Ras is described in the Gita Govinda. Although we don't have the qualification to engage in Shravan and Kirtan of this topic, in brief, we have tried to describe this Ras and what sentiments of love came in it. Tasting this, just see how the condition of Mahaprabhu became. It was a wonderful thing. Sarup Damodar and Rai Ramananda would describe it to him. "I am only an ordinary person full of anarthas." But in that place where Sarup Damodar and Rai Ramananda are describing this, Krishna himself, full of Radha Bhav, would be there as a listener in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he receives so much from it. Therefore, we will silently remember this Vasanti Ras, and when one day genuine spiritual greed arises in our hearts, we will be able to directly serve this Ras. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Wow, that was beyond description. All right, it's getting quite late now, so I'll just do a quick Mahamantra and we will conclude. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai. Oh, really? Okay, today's also the appearance day of Bhakti Kamal Govinda Maharaj. Thanks for letting me know that. I'll mention him in the Jaitmani. Nitila Vishwam Vishnupad Ashatarashata Shmad Srila Bhakti Viveka Narayan Gosvāmī Mahārāja Srila Gurudeva Ki Jai. Nitila Vishwam Vishnupad Ashatarashata Shmad Bhakti Viveka Vaman Gosvāmī Mahārāja Ki Jai. Nitila Vishwam Vishnupad Ashatarashata Shmad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitila Vishwam Vishnupad Ashatarashata Shmad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosvāmī Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitila Vishwam Vishnupad Ashatarashata Shmad Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvatī Gosvāmī Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitila Vishwa Maha Bhagavat Srila Gokshara Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitila Vishwa Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Nitila Vishwa Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghuna Shri Jeev Gopal Patadash Raghunath Shar Gosai Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaura-parṣada Caritāvalī Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandal Gaura Mandal Vraja Mandal Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sarva Abhishyapadata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kun Shama Kun Ki Jai. Shri Manu Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Purnamasi Yoga Maya Ki Jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Shri Vishnu Priya Devi Ki Jai. Gaur Shakti Vishnu Priya Devi Ki Jai. Shri Raghunath Das Gosvāmī Ki Jai. Shri Raghunandana Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Pundarik Vidya Nidhi Ki Jai. Tadiya Shubha Avirbhav Tithi Ki Jai. Shri Raghunandana Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Pundarik Shri Srila Vishwanath Chakravartī Thakur Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Viveka Bharati Gosvāmī Maharaj Ki Jai. And what was his name? Oh God, Parvat Maharaj? No, Bhakti something Parvat Maharaj. Sorry. Tadiya Shubha Tirabhav Tithi Ki Jai. Shrimad Bhakti Kamala Govinda Maharaj Ki Jai. Tadiya Shubha Avirbhav Tithi Ki Jai. Shri Sarasvatī Pu Ki Jai. Shri Vasanta Pañcamī Tithi Ki Jai. Shri Krishna Vasanti Rasa Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Okay, and if anybody's watching in Vrindavan right now, Indira Mataji just sent program happening. Let me just open this. Here, you can see this. Oh, wait, I didn't overpronounce it. Vrindaya Tulsi Devaya Priyaya Keshavashta Krishna Bhakti Pada Devi Satyavataya Namo Namah Vancha Kalpatarubhyashta Kripa Sindhubhye Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Alright, so here's a program happening in Mathura today. I actually probably can't go because I'm too busy. But where is it? It's at... Anyways, you can see this on the screen. Satara Bazar, Mathura. At the Ram Lila Maidan. Alright, here's a picture of Bhakti Kamala Govinda Maharaj. Alright, see you all tomorrow for Srimad Bhagavatam again. Thanks for staying for this super long reading. Oh my God. Yeah, Haribol.